You fix what?
The points problem. Although I've created another problem.
What's your other problem?
I'm 15 points over.
So you haven't fixed it, have you?
I know. My original problem was that the app wasn't accepting the Def Company loadout because it's such a complete.
Right. So you didn't fix the points problem. You fixed the loadout problem.
Yeah.
But you haven't solved your points problem. No, you can't take all the toys you want. Didn't Space Marines mostly see a points reduction?
Yes. Yes. I'm 15 points over. I can get rid of my enhancement, which solves my problem, but then I don't have an enhancement.
No blue pills for Joe?
No. No fights first on my sanguinary guard.
Fights first is so good. So good. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit all of those magical YouTube buttons. Hit the like button if you enjoy the content. 42 people have done that already. Smash subscribe if you haven't already and hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified every single time we go live and up a new video. Yeah, I know, I've just realised. I need to fix it. Because that's not enough for chat. We need to put chat on that screen.
Yeah.
Or we just use the iPads. I feel like I prefer it on the screen. I'm going to fix that now, actually, Joe, because that's going to annoy me. This is because we're running a bit late. Because why not?
Thank you, Ginger Steve. He says, no, it won't. Saved you from having to bother with the stream.
Okay, thanks for the stream.
Thanks, cool. Just log off now.
Have we hit 100 members already?
No.
Oh, well, then we can't.
We've got one member from Pay Your Pivot Tax. Thank you. I am.
What legend?
Yeah.
Pivot tax.
Boop, 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 boop,
We got an interesting. I think we got an interesting topic to talk about today. I need to fix this so I can put chat on the big screen. Otherwise,
why are you looking at orcs?
Hey, because I want to see how we improve our collection.
Of orcs?
Yeah.
I want to just do nothing but pigs if I was going to do orcs.
Would you?
Yeah.
Where's the thing?
Pigmageddon.
Pigmageddon.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Nope, not that one. That one. There we go. Fixed it. We fixed the problem, JJ.
Yeah.
Very professional.
Because that's the only thing we don't have. And Brom won't play them because they're not good.
I think they're all right. I think Orcs is like 40k's equivalent nowadays of Hero Hammer. Because all the characters are pretty good and all the units are a bit shit.
Orcs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the exception of like knobs and mega knobs, everything else is
Yeah.
a bit meh. But the characters are pretty good. But nice. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. The TV's at a weird angle as well, Joe. Have you knocked it?
What?
The TV.
No.
It's at a weird angle. It needs to be like this.
To face you slightly more.
Yeah. Look after the person who's important.
Stu does hate me, Steve.
I am just all over the place today. I think I'm a little bit I'm a little bit all over the place, if I'm honest with you, because I'm a bit excited. This is day 18 of streaming in a row, every single day, and then tomorrow starts my 4 days off, and I'm a little bit excited about it, if I'm honest.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to just taking 4 days of doing fuck all but resting.
I had 2 weeks off of doing
No, you didn't. You had 1 week off and then you were sick.
Yeah, I had 1 week. Yeah, but I had 2 weeks straight of doing no hobby, and it was the worst 2 weeks ever.
I was going to take a whole week off. I decided I wouldn't be comfortable doing that. I'd get bored. I'd be irritated. I'd be worried about numbers. So I would take Fridays and Monday off, which means I only missed 2 streams rather than 7. And I was more comfortable with that. I'm actually really looking forward to the rest. So I'm quite excited. But I mean, like, you know, when you used to have a proper job and you'd book a holiday, you'd book like a week off, and then on the last couple of days before that, you were just in don't give a fuck mode.
Yes and no.
And no?
Because all the jobs I had, all my bosses were assholes. So
Some things never change, eh?
So my working day, and also like my one of my last big jobs was when I was like a van driver. The lead up onto my week off got worse because they were like, we're a van driver down, so you have to do more. So they're like, today you're driving to Edinburgh, staying overnight, waking up at 6, picking up something from Edinburgh, and then stopping in Newcastle, Manchester, Leeds on the way back.
That sounds vital.
And I'm like, no.
I'll warn you now, chat, I'm in full holiday mode. But today's topic, thanks for joining us, by the way. Today's topic is an interesting one, and this has come about because of yesterday. If you kept up to date, GW dropped 35 or 37 updates on Warcom to indexes, FAQs, erratas, the Pride Access Tournament Companion, the Miniature Field Manual, etc., etc., etc. There was a lot of documents uploaded. Some had almost no updates, some had a couple of little minor tweaks, some had some sweeping changes to things like points. And we discussed it last night on the Warhammer show. And not just on the show, but also in social media. I've seen a lot of people that have made comments about 10th edition, the state of 10th edition, the state of the rules in 10th edition, the fact that they can't keep up, the fact they don't play regularly enough, and so they're kind of giving up playing. The fact that people in the Thanes this morning saying, I watch, but I don't play anymore because there's too much to keep up with.
But also there's been the opposite effect, where people play it all the time, said it's a really boring update.
Well, so it's interesting. So I also have been keeping an eye on social media because I do, and similar statements across the board. Now I feel like we're in a place where, and we haven't over the course of the last 12 months helped this particularly, but I feel like we're in a place where 10th edition at the moment has a stigma. It has some labels attached to it. It has some promotional statements that GW made when they were launching 10th edition, repeatedly thrown back in their face. The one I'm thinking about predominantly is simplified, not simple.
Yeah.
And everyone says that very sarcastically and laughs about it quite a lot.
Less killy, less rerolls.
And I feel like it's got this stigma now. And I said last night, I almost sympathise with the current rules writing team. I have no idea whether the current rules writing team were the same team that wrote and launched 10th edition. I have no idea at all. They might be a different team. But I am sympathetic at the moment because I feel like there's no way they can win. And importantly, at the moment, it feels like no matter what they do, they're not going to shake the stigma. Because on the one hand, if they do nothing and make no changes, people are going to complain that the game's busted and there's too many issues and there's too much imbalance.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if they make changes, people are now complaining that there's too many rules updates and changes and people can't keep up with it. Now, we did cover this last night, right? The main important thing to remember is, where I lose my sympathy is simply, don't release a dog shit edition in the first place, and we wouldn't find ourselves in this place with constant rules updates and a 35-page designer's commentary. I stand by that statement. If they'd done a good job in the first instance, we're not in this place now. But as a person who, myself personally, has recently gone through a bit of a resurgence in my love and passion for 40k, where I was firmly in the toilet, as you well know, I was firmly in the toilet about it, and I'm now really enjoying it again. And I've had to kind of adapt the way that I think about 40k and the way I approach the table. I'm wondering, for the majority of people, if it's actually possible for 10th edition to shake this stigma that it has, and for people to give it a go, or whether it's stuck now until 11th edition.
I think the biggest problem any community is going to have is the smallest but the most vocal group, the social media version of it. Right? And also the people that use social media to spout bollocks. Because I would say Facebook is possibly the worst thing to ever happen to humanity. Right?
I mean, Twitter exists as well, Joe.
Yeah, but that's just...
Although I prefer Twitter to Facebook.
I don't have Twitter.
I prefer Twitter to Facebook.
Because it's just porn now.
Well, exactly, that's why I prefer it to Facebook.
Yeah, it's too many notifications. You know, I can't sustain an erection all day.
I bet you can.
But the problem is when you go and find out about 40k, you tend to go to Facebook groups, and it's like I went on today, and I'm building a Salamanders example, right? I'm building a Salamanders army. I say I'm building. I've built it. I need to paint it.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the groups I go into is the Salamanders group, and it's nothing but complaining today and yesterday about
why?
About the points increase of 2 units: Eradicators, and the Biologists, right?
With fire discipline.
And what's mental is that those 2 units were massively undercosted, in my opinion. So Eradicators now put out 4 melter shots at 18-inch range. And versus monster vehicles, they reroll all hits, all wounds, and damage, and it's fucking AP 4. So if you ain't got any vulnerable save, it ain't getting a save. And they're like, it's 100 points now for this really, really good unit. And so if you're a new player who really likes Salamanders, you go to the Facebook group and it's just complaining, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to be part of this. When in reality, it's just people complaining about very, very minor changes.
But the point remains, part of the issue now is, when there's any updates, and they have to inevitably re-release, for example, the rules commentary, which is now 35 pages
36.
long.
I was on it.
Was it 36?
I was on it when we were in Audi earlier.
36 pages long for the designers commentary, right?
Yeah.
And there's some tweaks in there. And okay, they colour coordinate it, but you still have to trawl through a bullshit. By the way, I'm just gonna get this out here now. It's not 40k related. I fucking hate PDFs. I hate looking through PDFs for things. I can't stand it. I hate it.
It doesn't help that the rule book is literally that thick and doesn't have much information in it, realistically.
Correct.
My biggest gripe with rules at the moment is the app's word recognition in the search, right? So we were trying to figure out whether demons get any of their special abilities or their army rules when they're in Chaos Space Marines.
As allies.
As allies, because Battle Bunker says you can.
Well, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't say you
lists
can.
the rules though.
But when you look at your army rules, so all the rules that you have access to, it's in there.
Right, exactly.
So we're like, do I get it or do I not? Because I'm pretty sure I don't, but then the app's telling me I can. So when you go into the search on the app and you type in allied units, which is what it is listed as in the app. So when you go to things, there's a drop down which says allied units. Type in allied units, words not recognised. Great. So if you've downloaded the app, because when you go to Games Workshop and you want the most updated version of the rules, go to the app and then you go, cool, moving, word not recognised. Good.
Yeah.
Good. I think the app needs an update to actually allow people to find the most recent version of the rules quickly. Like if you're a TO, you're in a nightmare position really, because you have to have access to 137 different PDFs.
Yeah,
and know them off by heart.
And PDFs are just clunky.
Yeah. For clarification, I messaged Mikey. I was like, Mikey, how does this work?
PDFs are clunky. You go to load it, and you've got to wait for all 36 pages to load before you can start scrolling. Then they're just a bit shit. Yeah. And then you have to try and find the bits that have actually changed. And I think for most players now, when you see new update, 36-page designer's commentary, and you open it and you've got to trawl through. Here's the other thing, you've then got to trawl through to find the fucking changes. Because they don't just go, here's a list of all the changes at the start, the rest of it's below, and we're going to also add them into the actual place. And the next time we drop this, the new change will be at the start. So you can open it up, look at page one and go, there's all the changes. They don't do that. They go, well, this is about surging or pivoting, so it needs to go in this section. We're just going to put it in there somewhere. And there's no real logic to it, kind of. I don't know if it's in alphabetical order or not. But anyway, I think that puts a lot of people off. And when the stigma's, they're going to struggle to get rid of that stigma when to play the current version of the game. I've seen a comment in chat, which I'll address in just a moment. But when you look at when you want to play the current version of the game, you need to look at the rule book, you need to look at the designer's commentary, you need to look at your codex or index, the codex FAQ. So no longer do we have a codex, we have a codex and a codex FAQ and errata nowadays, which is sometimes pages long. You also have to look at the balanced data slate, you have to look at the Pride Nexus tournament pack, you then have to look at the tournament pack FAQ. Like, what the fuck?
But there's not an FAQ for indexes anymore, they just reprint the index.
Yeah, which is better.
Which is better, but also you don't know what's changed.
Well, so I went through this last night. There isn't a document that they upload which isn't titled correctly. And it's one document that goes through every change in all the indexes. So as content creator, I didn't know this before last night. That's my hand. I hold my hand up there. I have no idea. But it's not labelled like index changes. It's just called something like generic. And I opened it last night and it lists all of the changes to the indexes in order. Like, that's super helpful as a content creator to try and tell you guys everything that's changed. That's really, really good. But I feel like what they should also do is when they release an update, page one of that index should say, here's your changes. Here's the things we've changed. So if you're a guard player and you know guard inside out, you can open up the guard one and you don't care about the rest of the indexes. You can open up the guard one, here's what we've changed, tank commanders now have squadron. Cool, I don't need to read through it. I don't need to go, because at the moment, if you don't read that main document and you open the guard one, you've got to literally play spot the difference on 50 odd data sheets.
And you're not going to pick up a keyword.
No, you've got to play spot the difference. If you hadn't told me that guard tank commanders had squadron yesterday, I would have missed it.
And I found it out from comments in Facebook.
Well, there you go.
I literally found it out like fifth hand because someone was talking about guard tanks, about the price points of them, and like they were arguing like that they're too overcosted, and I was like, they are a bit overcosted. So I had to go through like loads and loads of comments to see if someone figured out the justification for it, and someone was like, oh yeah, they've got Squadron now.
They can order themselves.
They can order themselves. And I was like, oh.
But then, and my argument used to be for the rules complexity. One of the ways I tried to stick up for 10th edition was I used to say, we just use the app because it's always the latest up-to-date version of the rules. Apart from it's not now, is it? Because look at things that make command points costs cost more or cost less. Yeah. They haven't changed them in the app, despite the fact that they're like, any rule that says a command point costs one more, you use this rule instead. Yeah. Any rule that says a command point costs one less, or command point's free, use this instead.
Have they changed it in the app? I've not checked.
I haven't looked, but until this most recent update, they hadn't changed it. So now, not only do you need to have access to the app for up-to-date rules, you've then got to know about all these FAQs, updates, and downloads.
Swarmlord.
Why do you need to spot the difference? Because if you're a guard player and you haven't read the generic update PDF because it isn't called index updates and you don't know it exists, you might have no idea that Tank Commander's gained Squadron. You're then going to be hamstringing yourself.
Oh my God.
So you have to play spot the difference between old index and new index and know what the difference is. What, has it got worse? Don't tell me it's got worse.
They've made it more... They haven't updated the balanced data slate, right?
The balanced data slate is the same as it was last time, yeah.
It's not been updated. Not changed the balanced data slate, which was updated 3 months ago.
No.
Bear this in mind, children. Malign Presence, Aura. If this model is your warlord, each time your opponent targets a unit from their army with a stratagem, if that unit is within 12 inches of this model, increase the cost of the use of that stratagem by 1 CP.
So they've put that in?
They've done it.
At last.
Designers note this ability takes precedence over Lord of the Sea ability presented in the Balanced Data Slate 2024. So the Balanced Data Slate, which is not being updated, will have Lord of the Sea, and then obviously this. The rules are identical, just different names. So, and then I need to check the...
And other things that they've done...
Hang on, I need to check the Hive Tyrant.
The other thing that they've done, for example, a lot of people, for a very long time in 10th edition, have had questions over Surge. Any kind of Surge ability. Now I have access...
They've updated the CP costing as well.
Good, okay. Yeah. So they've actually finally done that. 3 months late, but they've done it, right? For me as well, I've run an app. That is not a hard update to do.
Yeah.
So that should have been done the second they changed the fucking rule, right? The other thing they've done, they've stuck out some Q&As in the designers commentary about Surge. We spoke about this briefly last night as well, about Surge. And they've done some clarifications in Surge. What they haven't done is clarify the one point that everybody's asking. Yeah. And is a hot topic on Facebook with people going full autist in the argument section.
Oh, someone had I had an argument with someone on the Warhammer 40k, the Warhammer post from Games Workshop about this. Because I asked, can you clarify this? Can I end an engagement range? Can't I end an engagement range? And some guy was like, I can't. And I was like, what's your reason why? Because you can't.
Yeah, good argument, top. By the way, if you ever go on any kind of forum or rules page and you go, you can't, or YouTube chat, you go, you can't do it, and we go, why can't you do it? Because you can't, you're a cunt. Because that's not a reason.
Yeah.
That's not the reason. If you go, because I think you can't because of this, and this, fantastic, let's have a discussion. I'm open to it. Yeah. So Blood Surge, or any kind of surge for that matter, is one of these topics of conversations. So, for reference, Devout Push exists within Templars. The Blood Angels Dreadnought, the new, not Redemptor, sorry.
The Death Company Dreadnought.
The Death Company Brutalis has a similar type surge rule. World Eaters have Blood Surge. There's a couple others that exist as well. And basically what happens with all of these rules is, if you take damage or you get hit by a shooting attack, you can make an out of phase move, normally up to D6, and you normally have to end you normally have to end as close as possible to the closest enemy unit within that D6 move, right? Yeah. And they added some clarifications, so you don't have to go all of the 6, you don't have to use all of your movement, you can choose not to move at all, but you still count as having moved, all that kind of stuff. Now, the question about this specifically, that's been in the community for a while, actually, is whether you can or can't end an engagement range. Now, for World Eaters, it's not a question. Why is it not a question, I hear you ask? Because it specifically states you can end an engagement range.
Yeah.
For Devout Push and for the Death Company Dreadnought, it doesn't state that. Now, when TOs TO, more often than not, they'll err on the side of caution. So often they'll say, in this circumstance, one says it can, the other two don't say anything about it, we'll assume that they can't.
Yeah.
I don't know what I think the answer is, and I don't care. I personally don't care which way they rule it.
Yeah.
Just tell us.
But what's weird is is that Black Templars players with Devout Push have been using it to get into engagement range since the start of 10th edition. But then the Blood Angels ones come out and they've gone, no. It's the same rule, but no.
Tom, why is the Blood Surge change Big Sad?
Because you're going to do it once.
I thought you could only do it once anyway.
I think you could do it, multiple units can do it multiple times. I think,
each unit can do it once, though.
Yeah.
But I thought that was the case.
You can do it multiple times.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Whereas, but the thing is, though, my clarification is on the, because people are going to abuse this, because they always do, is the grammar on the situation. End as close as possible to an enemy unit. As close as possible is touching.
Of course.
My
Absolutely,
finger is as close as possible to here.
Yeah,
It's
agree.
not as close as possible when it's an inch away.
Agree.
It's as close as possible when I'm touching.
Agree.
So, and I was like, this is a conversation that needs to be had.
But and to be fair, I actually think it's slightly clearer if the World Eaters one didn't specifically state that they could end in combat.
But then there are which allow you to move after you've been shot or do things after you've... Basically, I think you've been shot allow you to move that also state that you can't end in engagement range. So you've got the World Eaters one that says you can, some that say you can't, and then you've ones that just don't say whether you can or you can't.
Yeah, and I don't feel like it takes a massive amount of time to say, when you make a surge move, unless otherwise stated, you can't end in combat, or when you make a surge move, you can end in combat. And I don't give a flying fuck which way it goes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh no, allowing a Death Company Dreadnought to surge into combat is a bit too broken. And I was thinking about it as like, well then you think about it as a player and you go, he's within 6 inches of me, I'm not going to shoot at it if I don't think I can kill it.
Yeah.
Because he'll just end in combat
But you also go, I'm going to shoot at it so it moves closer to me into engagement range so I can charge it with something that doesn't want to be in combat.
Which is also, of course, yeah. And so we are over a year in to an edition. We're a number of updates into an edition, and they're still releasing updates so people are going, you haven't fixed all of the problems or answered all of the questions and you're adding complexity. What did we also see yesterday? We saw another FAQ to fucking pivot.
Mercenary Q, the surge rule that they updated the other day, doesn't say whether you can end an engagement range. It says that you can't do it if you start an engagement range.
The surge rule says that if your rule says you can end an engagement range, then you can. Yeah, that's not what that says. That's not what that says. Read it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so another FAQ for pivot, one of the most ridiculous sets of fucking FAQs, updates and rules. I don't get rid of it. We didn't need it for 9 editions. I said this yesterday. Yeah. Pivot is a fucking joke. You've doubled down on it now. Just give up. Get rid of it. I don't know how many times we even bothered with pivot for the tournament games I played at Healthstorm with all my opponents.
Yeah.
And I literally said to my opponents, I said to them, I was like, I couldn't give a fuck about pivot. They're like, yeah, call me neither.
All they had to do, because basically this rule was brought in because of raiders for Drakari and measuring from deep. So
even that
you pivot before the move. So basically you come in 9 inches away, you pivot, now you're 7 inches away because of the length of the end of it from the stem. Right? So basically Games Workshop, the rule for pivot had to be you roll the measurement before you move the model, including pivots. Done.
But
so
yeah.
It's just 9 inch charge.
But the other thing as well is in that situation, if I'm a TA, I've ran tournaments, I've run a lot of tournaments, right? I've been a TA. If someone said to me, can you come to the table? This person's just deep struck a raider. They've now turned it. They told me that the deep strike is 7 inches. I'm going to look the person with the raider in the eyes and say, don't be a cunt. It's a 9 inch charge. You had to deep strike 9 inches away. That's the fucking rules.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It's not difficult. They're the same type of players as to why they've had to update Cull the Horde. I talked to Joe about this earlier. He wasn't aware of it. They've had to add a sentence to Cull the Horde that basically says at the point in which you select your army, if you pay the points to take 20 models and you choose then to take an understrength unit, it counts as 20 models for the sake of Cull the Horde. If you're one of those players who's going to a tournament and paying for 20 Orcs or 20 Votan or 20 whatever, and you take 19 just to avoid someone scoring Cull the Horde, you're a bellend and you probably shouldn't be playing Warhammer. Fuck off and play something else. Stop fucking... Because we now have an extra sentence of bullshit, which we didn't need, because dickheads go, I can game this. Why? And there's not even common... It's not like every tournament player does this.
Yeah.
Like, it's rare people that do it, and we have to then have these shitty... and this doesn't help. This doesn't help the design studio or the 40k team shake the stigma. It doesn't help it, because they're now looking at that situation and going, well, we now have to clarify this, because someone's been a dickhead, and they have to release a rule update, and we go, this is complicated nonsense. And they're like, yeah, sorry, but we had to. Stop being dicks. They're a very rare number of people, by the way. Like, a supremely small number of people are doing this, and they're the sort of people that if they tried that, I'd be like, you know what? I'm fucking done. You can have the win. I don't fucking care. I'm not playing you because you're clearly a cock. Because if you're prepared to go, I'm going to take 19 orcs instead of 20 so you can't call the horde, or I'm going to spin my raider so I get 2 inch less. If you're going to try and game the rules just to get an advantage, you're not my kind of 40k player at all.
Hang on.
Honestly, it's fucking ridiculous. Those kind of people just get in the fucking bin and stop ruining my hobby. What's up? Joe's reading. He goes silent when he reads.
So, Togs Trio says that the devout push says you make a normal move.
So if you make a normal move, you can't engage.
The word is that your unit can make a normal move of up to 6 inches, but it must end the move closer to the enemy unit. So a normal move specifies you cannot end it with engagement range.
So if Black Templars players have been using Devout Push to get into an engagement range, strictly speaking, normal moves you can't end an engagement range, that's wrong.
Whereas the
Blood Angels one,
this one
does not say normal moves.
No, it says in your opposed shooting phase, each time an enemy unit has shot, if this model is hit by one or more of those attacks, it can make a driven by fury move. To do so, roll d6 and add 2 to roll. This model moves a number of inches up to the result, but must finish as close as possible to the closest enemy unit, excluding aircraft. A model cannot make a driven by fury move whilst it is battle shocked or within engagement range of one or more enemy units, and can only make one driven by fury move per phase.
So here's the thing as well, right?
Yeah.
And here's another problem. We had the same discussion before we went off to the shop this morning about Demon Princes. What we've got here is we've got Devout Push, Driven by Fury, and Blood Surge.
I'm pretty sure Sisters have got a version of it as well.
Yes, maybe. But so let's just take these 3. Devout Push, Driven by Fury, Blood Surge. In essence, what are they? The exact same move.
Yeah.
People complained at the end of 7th edition about the number of universal special rules. You know what it does is it gets rid of one rule being written 3 different ways. And we complained about this in previous editions, and they said for us at 10th edition, and this is part of the reasoning again why I think they won't lose the stigma, we fixed that problem, but you haven't.
Yeah.
You haven't, because you've got 3 of the same rules that for some reason you've written 3 completely different ways.
So they fixed it. So before they did it so that because there was loads and loads of different pre-game redeploys. Some happened after you deployed, some happened after you deployed but before the roll-off, and some happened before the first battle round but after you knew who was going first. So all 3 did the same job but happened at very different times. And then they rolled all 3 of them into one. Didn't keyword it for some reason. But then they keyworded things like Lord of Deceit. So I don't understand why Surge just can't become a keyword. A Surge move is...
Tox Trio says, Space Wolves also have a Surge. That one states you can end an engagement range. So while it sucks, I feel like it says with these ones you can't. This is what I'm saying. If it was intended that any Surge move allows you to end in combat, then I don't see why on specific ones it states you can. Yeah. But this is part of the problem with GW's inconsistent rules writing. It's because if we knew, because of historical games and historical editions, if we knew that if it says you can, you can't, if it says you can, but if it doesn't say you can, you definitely can't. If we knew that was the case, we wouldn't be asking this question, would we? But the problem is that the amount of times we've assumed a thing, we've gone, well, over here it says this, so for Blood Surge it says you can, so we're going to assume you can't for Driven by Fury, right? And then the amount of times we've done that, and Games Workshop goes, here's a clarification, and you're like, good, it's the opposite of what I thought it was.
Well, the thing is, though, it's my issue with it is a lot of people saying you can't, and it doesn't say you can, so you probably can't. But the issue is, and this is across the board, I'm using this as an example, is that the World Eaters one, the Khan Effects one says you can, the Space Wars one says you can end it with engagement range. Devout Push for the Black Templars specifically says you make a normal move. Then you have to move towards the enemy that shot you. Whereas the problem with the Blood Angels one is that it doesn't say you make a normal move.
Correct.
It doesn't say you can't end with engagement range. It just says as close as physically possible.
Agree. So it's unclear.
It's unclear.
We don't know which way they're going.
Yeah, because in my head, it's gonna, and this, people might be, oh, that Joe on the internet's being difficult. The problem is that there's going to be so many times that this comes up across the entire planet of people playing Warhammer, because people's interpretation of as close as physically possible is very different. Well, I'd actually say that everyone's the same.
But if
you're as close as physically possible, you're touching.
Or inside you.
Yeah, or inside, yeah.
But this is the difference. This has been something that has existed since I've been playing.
Yeah.
I've used it, or I've seen it used online on social media groups and forums like Daka Forever. Raw versus Rye, right? Rules as intended versus rules as written.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that for the Blood Angels one specifically, if we go 100% strict rules as written, I think you can end in engagement range.
Yeah.
If, however, we go rules, my opinion, so rules as intended is always based on opinion as well. And that's subjective, it's not an objective thing. I think rules as intended is you can't. But Joe possibly maybe thinks rules as intended is you can.
I definitely think it's intended.
So if you think you can, I think you can't. And this is where we have issues at the tabletop. Oh, fucking YouTube, honestly. This is where we have issues at the tabletop. So, and this is where we need them to be clear, and this is where they're not going to shift that stigma whilst they go, here's an update. And we've included updates on Surge. We haven't fixed the problem that you're all facing. We've fixed some other issues that perhaps weren't issues.
Shadow Sensor, did you know you can't end on top of enemy models, but you can end underneath?
Well, someone said to me last night about what you can and can't do. I've got to find this web page now. Here it is. And hit reload on the YouTube page, because the YouTube is fucking dog shit sometimes. Is that going to refresh that chat over there?
We just don't know.
We just don't know. Well, someone said this to me last night about what you can and can't do, and they use this logic, and I said, by that logic, you can deploy a Rhino on its side.
Yeah, and so I think the problem is that I feel like we're not going to see this to 11th edition, and these problems are going to continue to exist all the way through to 11th edition, where I think they're going to look at Age of Sigmar and say, we have to bring in a keyword. They got rid of keywords because they thought it was too confusing to have a standardized rule set and give everything its own individual rule. Whereas if they go to Age of Sigmar and go, they brought in a keyword system, everything that happens is a something ability. If it's not an ability, it doesn't happen.
You have to say, for the majority of Age of Sigmar, we don't need clarifications.
No.
For the majority, there's little bits, but for the majority of it, you look at you follow the logical process, you go through the keywords, and the amount of times I've gone, why can't you do this? Why can't you charge? Why can't you countercharge after you've redeployed?
Yeah.
You had this on Tuesday. Little bit of digging. Oh, because redeploy has the move keyword, the run keyword, which means you can't charge after you run.
If this was an Age of Sigmar thing, it would be a little box, and like so the blades would be a little box, and it would be I don't know, gold or probably black actually, and it would have the words in as close as physically possible, and then underneath it would say core, and then it would either say run, which means you can't go into combat, move, which means you can't end up in combat, or charge, which means you can end up in combat. Done.
Easy.
Solved.
Fixed.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that they're going to struggle to. So I'm enjoying 40k at the moment. I'll be honest, despite the fact that I'm ranting about morons that seem to be intent in ruining the game for us. For example, people taking 19 instead of 20 models just to avoid. I didn't even know that was a thing, by the way. This is how insignificant it is.
I didn't know that you could purposefully bring understrength units.
But I kind of, what I kind of want Games Workshop to do. I think this helps the stigma maybe slightly, but interested to know what you guys think about this. Is in that scenario, right? I was unaware this was even happening.
Yeah.
The only time I became aware of it was happening was when I read the rule update on Tuesday, whenever it was. Right, I was completely unaware this was even going on. People were doing it because it's such a tiny percentage of people that are actually doing this. So what I really would like GW to do in this instance is go, we actually don't think it needs an FAQ. We just need people to stop being dickheads, right? And I wish they would go, look, we're not adding this to the because 99.9% of people.
But being a dickhead is subjective. Some people don't think they're being a dickhead.
They are being a fucking dickhead.
Sometimes they just want clarification.
Fuck off, Joe.
Sometimes they want just simplicity.
If you're paying for 20 and taking 19 models so you can avoid Cull the Horde as a secondary objective,
That's a dick move.
you're a dickhead.
Yeah.
That's not subjective.
What if you lost one?
I mean, I'd be like, I also would be like, I've got 19 here, but there's 20, so when the first one dies, I won't remove it. There you go. The classic I super chat got discussed before I'm undefeated. We'll get to your chats in a minute. We normally start at 2 o'clock, and I'm a bit ranty because I'm back to loving 40k.
It's past 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm back to loving 40k. I'm back to really enjoying it, but I can't help but see the negativity that comes out after a rules update. And so I think about whether we will ever shift the stigma and we can get to a point where people playing 40k are happy. I actually would argue that for some of the community out there, playing 40k, they're just never going to be happy. Their default is angry and ragey.
My biggest fault and my biggest issue with 40k is I swing like a pendulum between fixed points and modular points.
Oh, really? I don't swing
between the two.
I want modular points forever.
Horrendously.
Why do you swing? Tell me why you swing. So for clarity, if you don't know, if you haven't played before 10th, modular points was you take points per model rather than points per unit. You would pay points for a power fist. You'd pay points for a plasma pistol. You'd pay points for a jump pack. I have always, and I will always be a person who wants to go back to modular points. For clarity, I don't think we ever will, but I always want to go back to modular points. Why do you swing though? I'm interested.
So in terms of modular if I go to modular points, I want it to not be per equipment. I want it to be per models in a unit. So if a unit, say for instance with Def Company, it says for 1 in 5, one can take an eviscerator. So if you take 8 Def Company, you can still only have one eviscerator because you're not at 10.
Okay.
So what annoys me is that I write a nice list I really enjoy. I wrote it and I'm like, that's a good list. The symmetry is there. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3.
Very Joe list.
Characters go in the places. I have appeased my OCD and it looks like an army.
Yeah.
We have a points update.
It fucks all your lists.
Some things in my army go down, some things in my army go up. My army is now 15 points over, right? I can't remove 15 points from my army. I have to remove an entire unit. So let's say Assault Intercessors went up 10 points. So if I remove a unit of Assault Intercessors, I'm now 5 points over.
Yeah.
So I have to remove something else. And then I've got odd points. So basically what happens is you end up in a situation where you have to basically scrap the entire army and start again. You can't just go, okay, so I've got a 10-man unit of Def Company there, I'm 15 points over, I'll just knock 2 off. My army is the same, just 1 unit slightly smaller.
But I would knock 1 off of each unit. So
because you've got 5. So minimum squad size still needs to exist, right? So Assault Intercessors still need to be a 5-man unit at 90 points.
Yeah.
But if I go over that 5-man, I should be able to choose which you have. Look at Meganobs, look at Custodes, look at Harlequins, look at Death Guard. They have modular models. They have units where you can just add 1.
Well, this is because they're shoehorning this shit point system into the kits that they've been designing for years, whereby, so if we take Harlequins as an example, because it's one of the kits I love, you get 6 models in a box. Yeah. You can build one of them as a troop master, and then you can build 5 players, or you can build 1 lead player and 5 players, and so they've had to say, so Harlequins come in units of 5, 6, 11 or 12.
Yeah.
No, something like that. 5, 6, 11, 12, I think it is.
There's 5,
6, 10, 11, 12?
5, 6, 10, 11, 12, because you can have, because the boxes come in 6s.
So now we have a situation where if you go to points for Harlequins, there's 4 or 5 entries just to work out how much your Harlequins cost. But if you went 6 points a model, it's fucking easier to just go points per model, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just easier. So I feel like to some extent your solution isn't a swing one way or the other. It's literally a solution in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't want granular points for war gear, but you do want cost per model and take as big a units
10
as you want.
Def Company is 280 points.
Yeah.
Which means that they're 28 points
So
a model.
all you need to do is say, we don't want points for weapons. All we want to do is we want to say 10 points per model, maximum unit size X.
Minimum unit size, maximum unit size Don't. Anything over that, that's how many points there are per model.
Yeah, you would have to go minimum unit size because people would abuse it and take one model just to do actions and stuff everywhere.
So you still have, there's always been a minimum unit size. I don't want to get rid of that. I want to keep it. But I think you should be able to take them in. Like, say, for instance, you've got, you can take 4 Blade Guard and you can take 2 characters. That's still 6 people.
Okay.
You know? It just bugs me that, like, I say, oh, my army's got like 15 points. I can't, if I remove a unit, I've got 60 points spare. There's no units in my army that's 60 points.
Yeah.
And then so I'll put an enhancement on someone. Okay, I'm still 45 points down.
I like your solution. I would prefer to go back to full granular. I prefer the point system. Like, one of the things that made me most excited when I open Horus Heresy or Old World rule books is the way level 1 wizard plus 25 points, level 2. I was like, oh, I missed that.
But the thing is, though, like,
I missed that.
Space. If you look at things, though, like, modular characters aren't a problem. Games Workshop just enforced too many restrictions on it. Like, I've made this example before. The bog standard Primaris captain can have a bolt rifle, bolt pistol, plasma pistol, power fists, power sword, and something else. There's 2 different versions of the bolt rifle. He can have something, or he can have a power sword, a bolt pistol, and a storm shield. Why can't I have a storm shield and a bolt gun?
Yeah, I agree. Let me kit bash my fucking characters again and make characters that are unique to me.
Yeah, why can't I have a plasma
100%
a plasma pistol, a power fist, and a shield? It's just like just get rid of the restriction.
I feel like some of
the
what
points, because he can still just be 80 points.
I feel like some of what they've done has removed some of the hobby from the hobby.
Yeah.
You know, because one of the things, what's one of your favourite things in the world to do?
Converting models.
Kit bash Space Marines.
Yeah.
You fucking love kit bashing Space Marines.
Yeah.
Right? And although you still do it, there are less opportunities, I would suggest, for the majority of people to be like, I can kit bash my own custom Space Marine captain because I can take this wild loadout that a model doesn't exist for. I like that, by the way.
Yeah.
I like the fact that sometimes there was things that didn't exist, but you had access to the bits and you can make it.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe that's just us. Maybe we're in the unique space. We're currently, by the way, chat, we're currently 28 members into Target. And I have said that if we hit Target again today, like we did in the last Liam and Joe Thursday show, he will have access to another Imperial Knight, what are they called? Cerestus class.
Yeah.
What's it called? The Castigator.
The Castigator is a version of it.
I've got the Castigator around there.
Cerestus Lancer.
I've got the Castigator around there for the Cerestus. If we hit Target on Liam and Joe show, he can have himself a Cerestus class knight as well to add to the House Malinux? Malinux? Malifux? What's it called?
Malinax.
Malinax.
Oh, William Wills, by the way, has got the prime example of terrible rules writing.
Okay.
If a tank commander dies, he can shoot on death. FAQ index update. If a tank commander is destroyed by anything other than attack, can that model use its death befitting of an officer ability? No. So if it's not shot, if it's not shot, it can't do it. Question, if a tank commander is destroyed as a result of its own weapons ability, can it use the death befitting an officer ability? Yes. They've contradicted their own rules. Because killing yourself means that you can't shoot. So they've updated...
They're fucking stupid, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are.
But then they did the exact same thing with Hellblasters.
In all the rules teams that exist in all the world, whether that's Marvel Crisis Protocol, Star Wars Legion, fucking Shatterpoint, Bolt Action, Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, they're like the most incompetent rules writing team in existence.
Yeah. They even applied the exact same ruling to Hellblasters. Can you do your shooting on death if you die from anything other than attack? No.
Luton summed up my stream title last night as well.
Yeah.
I looked at the updates on the community download section and I said out loud, fuck that. I said that. My stream title last night was literally like, how many other people couldn't be bothered to read all this? Like, I can't, I'm not reading all this. Yeah. I didn't read it all. And our job's to kind of provide you guys with the rules. Anyway, like I said, we're on 28 members. I've got a knight castigator around the corner. Is he the one with the sword and the gun?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one of them around the corner.
Because what's the other one? Is that you got the Lancer, the Castigator,
and then the Acheron.
I thought there was 4.
There's 3 in plastic.
Oh, because it's the what's it called? Oh, with the 4 guns.
Oh, he's not a Cerastus class, though, is he?
I thought he was.
I know which one you're on about as well. No, I don't think he's Cerastus class.
The dildo one. The one that has all the dildo arms.
So we did the first two, didn't we? Pay for your pivot tax. Thank you for the 5. It just says pivot. Pivot can fuck off, can't it? But thanks anyway, dude. Sam Deacon, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships.
It's an Acastus Knight. The Porphyrion.
Yeah, the Porphyrion, that's the one.
Porphyrion.
It's much bigger than a Cerastus class, I think, if I remember rightly. Definitely like Hencher.
Oh, there's a Cerastus Knight Atropos, which is the Admech version. That's what I'm thinking of.
I just want to go back to just having fun in 40k, Jay.
No, not allowed.
Sam Deacon, thank you for 5 gifted memberships, I said.
Oh, I hope next time you bake a pie, the crust stays nice and solid and doesn't just dip in the top.
Our solid crust pie is it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Evan, thank you for the $10. Not let me give memberships. FYI, thanks for the great shows. Also, 10th will not shake the stigma, but people who want to have fun will still find ways to enjoy it. Ultimately, yes. And this is what I'm saying. When I get super angry...
Did you pay the pivot tax?
Yeah. When I get super angry about things like dickheads taking understrength units to avoid secondary objectives, we have to remember, I keep saying this, they are because I got a rage on about tournament players a little while ago, right? And I had someone who put a comment on one of my social medias, I think it was Instagram, about, thought you just hated tournament players. I was like, I don't hate tournament players. I like tournaments. I hate a certain kind of tournament player. And thankfully, for the majority at least, they're in the minority. They are not the common. They're not the common experience at tournaments. No. I played 3 guys at Hellstorm's event, had 3 great games. Joe played 5 guys and had 5 great games. Paddy played 5 guys.
I played one guy who was lovely, but he'd already decided he'd won before the game had started, and I was like, oh, one of you.
Yeah, but Paddy also came away saying he played 5 games and played 5 great guys. Yeah. So between us, we played 13 different people, had 13 great experiences. They are in the minority. They are in the minority, but they are some of the loudest, and they do sort of typically ruin it for the rest of us. So we now all have this extra paragraph on Cole the Horde that we just didn't need. Yeah. We just didn't need it.
But then there are times
but you're right, most people will still find ways to enjoy themselves.
I've been stood at a table and like the person next to me just looks miserable. Because like that's
the downside of streaming with you, Jay.
It's miserable, and then you look at the person he's playing against, and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, because it's like I have played against them before, and they're the worst kind of people. Is they question every single thing that you do.
I'm like the opposite.
Can you do that? So I'm gonna move my borders over here. Can you do that? And I'm like, what's their move? I'm like, well, the Space Marines move is 6.
I'm the flat opposite unless I'm playing Brom. Yeah. So like people will be like, I'm gonna move this Mega Knob at 14 inches. I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. I don't care. As long as you're having fun, mate, I'm happy with it. And then Brom, it's the opposite. I always ask him, like, can you do that? Even if I know he can, just because he gets him panicky and he gets worried.
Actually, Neil Tweed says, your solution of paying per model in a unit would legitimately allow people to take 19 models. Would they still be dickheads?
No. Because they're legitimately allowed to do that at that point.
Yeah, so what they're doing currently is purposefully bending the rules, whereas allowing people to pay per model, I think is fine. I also think that with Cole the Horde, it should include characters joining those units. So currently, if you take 10 Death Company and a character, although their rules are high enough to allow for Cole the Horde, it currently doesn't because the character doesn't count. Which means that in so many games, Cole the Horde literally just gets binned. I think if they kept it, it's like, it means that people have to make a decision. Do I take a 10-man unit with a character, or do I take a 5-man unit?
Have we ever scored it on the channel?
No, never.
I don't think we have.
Brom never brings 20-man units of orcs. Well, he has bought 20-man units of orcs, and then, but that secondary never came up.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever really
I never run 20-man units of Tyranids.
I actually am getting urges for orcs.
Orcs are one of those armies I'd love to do, but it's also like it's mad expensive to put on the table.
I'd like to paint orc characters. I don't want to paint orc infantry, so it's never going to be an army I do.
Yeah.
But only because I feel like orc characters play hero hammer better than most other factions. Anyway, thank you for that, Evan. You're a hero. Thank you, Sam, for the 2. Pivot. You all know how this should be read. Yes, of course, because we all watch Friends.
Oh my God!
Pivot.
I've just discovered
your penis.
A great David Schwimmer TV program. He's only in 1 episode, and it was brilliant. There's a cartoon series on Netflix called Captain Fall, who's basically there's a terrorist group who's operating on a cruise liner, and something bad happens to their captain, so they have to replace the captain with an idiot. So they go find an idiot to put on there. And there's just a random episode, not about the cruise ship at all, about David Swimmer trying to convince his wife to go to a swinging club.
Okay.
And obviously the inevitable happens. He goes, he can't get it up. But then his wife, who's really reluctant, really enjoys
Getting banged
by a lot of men.
Yeah, fair.
Classic David Swimmer friends Ross situation, right? And then he dies at the end because he takes too many boner pills.
Fair.
It's just completely out of the blue. You have to watch it. It's great.
Demo Gorgon, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships.
I hope that next time you go to a pub late at night, the music isn't too loud.
If you too want to hope like this from Joe, 5 gifted memberships or above will grant you a hope. Warning, a lot of them come true.
I fucking hate loud music in pubs. I'm so old.
A lot of them come true, chat.
Yeah.
So, it's like playing the lottery, but with more guaranteed results, because you'll definitely get a hope.
You'll get a hope. Whereas if you play lottery, you might not win anything.
Yeah.
Matt Riley, it is spoilers, but the problem is it's David Swimmer playing a very classic character. You know what's going to happen.
Evan, thank you for the 1 gifted. Harborn, Mr. the Vortex Games, ! Vortex in chat. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships.
I hope next time you go to have a pizza delivered, all the cheese isn't stuck to the roof of the box.
Strong. I'm a fan of that one. Tank, thank you for the 1 gifted. Prentice, thank you for the 5. One thing they did good this time was change the rules to reflect CB direction change, e.g. Farsight. Yeah, so we've gone through that. I'm glad, but it's too late. It took them too long.
The problem was they fucked up last time with it by just putting it in a random place, and they heard us complain, so they fixed it. But instead of learning from their mistake, they just did it again.
Well, so I wonder, right, and maybe I'm going to give them too much credit here, and perhaps part of the problem is miscommunication. I wonder if they go, we're changing this rule because we think it's not right as it is. We're gonna trial it for a quarter, and if it works, it sticks, and we'll update the app. Yeah. Now, I don't think it's an excuse because I feel like changing it in the app is actually quite fucking easy. It's a find, replace. It's not difficult. And then if you don't keep it, you can revert back. It's not difficult.
They didn't do a meta watch.
Not really, no. They did a piss poor article.
They tell what. See, the thing is, they got rid of Meta Watch, which I think is probably the right idea. Yeah. Because Meta Watch was terrible.
Yeah.
It was. Right, and that's not because of the people on it, but it mostly is. Is that they need to do FAQ watch, rules watch, I don't know, like rules update. And they basically they get an interviewer who has a personality with a personality, and then they take a rules person, possibly the best rules person with a personality as well. That helps.
That's okay.
It's difficult, I know.
It's a challenge, yeah.
But they exist. Or a representative of the rules team who might not be on the rules team, but knows how to have a conversation. And they talk. And then the interviewer goes, why have you made this decision? And then the person goes, we made this decision based on this. We are open about what is happening and why we've come to these conclusions. Because what happens is Games Workshop goes, like, here's all the stuff. We will not respond to anything that you say. And if you ask a question on the Facebook article, we'll just say, email to this. And the email response is, you'll find out in the next update in 3 months' time. Whereas if they do a video... Yeah,
but they probably get a lot of comments and emails.
Yeah, so. I know, but they probably get loads and loads and loads. And I get that. But we know nothing. It's just very cold and sterile. And then people like us sit here in our comfortable chairs and complain about Games Workshop. Whereas if Games Workshop was just open and said, we have made rules changes and these are the reasons why we've done them. This is our thinking. Like we brought in a surge rule.
Here's the other thing as well.
This is how we fix it.
Normally when we have a actual balanced data slates, behind the scenes peak, we get invited to a call, or at least I do, with someone who's relatively high up, who then explains to us why they've done what they've done.
Yeah, that didn't happen this time.
It didn't happen this time, and I don't know why. And I'm wondering if it's just because it's actually mostly just an MFM change. It's mostly field manual, nothing else. It's mostly just field manual. And so I wonder if that's why we didn't get a call. But what we used to get was, here's a call, this is the change, this is some of the bigger changes we're making, here's why we're doing it. So when you talk to your audience, you already have some context and some background, which is 100% helpful.
Some of the people on those phone calls ask some silly questions anyway.
A lot of people on those
That's
phone
probably
calls
why.
ask silly questions to try and feel important, but and they're not. But having the context helps, and we are in positions where, for example, with the surge problem, we could have asked that question on the call, and even if we don't get a direct answer, they're normally pretty good at going, "We'll get back to you about that one."
Yeah.
We didn't have that this time round, so it's hard to know. But there isn't also any real major sweeping changes. Let's be honest. There's a couple of tweaks. What's come out this particular update is tweaks, and I feel like sometimes tweaks are the ones that cause the most outrage because they're little tweaks and changes, and everyone goes, "Lots of little updates. There's too many updates."
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's what these tweaks need? So here's the thing: did these tweaks need to be made on this release? Could they have got away with on this particular release? MFM changes only.
Probably, yeah.
I think they could.
What's interesting, right, is that previously they've said in the past, we want to do points, rules changes, points, rules changes,
Yep.
leapfrog them every 3 months. This time round, they've gone FAQ changes, points, no balanced data slate. But in the past, they've gone, we want to do this, but we've released a balanced data slate. So we've never had a proper version of the basic version of it. We've never just had points.
I'd like to know if when they do some of these changes, it is a 3-month trial.
Because what normally happens is all these little changes happen every single time. All these little points changes happen every single time. But then there's the cushioning blow of the balanced data slate. So all these little changes, no one gives a shit about, no one cares, no one sees them because they've just gone, everyone's like, well, what's my army done? What's my new rules? How have they fixed it?
Yeah.
But that's not here this time. So now we're like all the little changes that are a bit crappy.
We saw Thanes yesterday morning in the group chat talking about the fact that updates are coming soon, and they were quite excited. And people talk about, I wonder if my army will get a new detachment. And I was sat there thinking to myself, you poor bastards, because you can unless your army isn't. So the reason why Drakari got a new detachment was because they were in the toilet. That's why they got a new detachment, right? If you're world eaters who are not in the toilet, you're not getting a detachment until your codex comes out. Just get used to it because that's what's going to happen. And if you're a faction who's doing okay with your index faction and you're last on the list to come out, you probably won't get a faction update until you get your fucking codex, and that sucks. And it does suck. But that's probably the reality. Yeah. If, however, there's the odd chance for the last couple of codexes, they might find some sympathy and go, we're going to drop an extra detachment just to give you some variety. But I think for the majority, you can expect to see nothing until your codex. And part of their reasoning for that will probably be that I would imagine 11th edition, they won't index. Whoever this new rules manager guy who's come into the 40k team, I sympathise with this guy. Because if I was him, I would look at 10th and I'd go, this is a hot stealing pile of absolute fucking wank dog shit. Right? And what I want to do is I want to completely fucking scrap it and I want to start again because it's fucking awful. And I wouldn't mind betting there are people above him that went, we can't index after indexing.
Yeah.
We can't do it straight away. You have to at least run this for one more edition. I would bet money that that's the case.
Yeah.
Now, what I will say is, if they come to 11th edition, they make some more tweaks, and they essentially take everything, designers commentary, etc. They put it all into a logically laid out, well-worded rule book with an index, etc. at the back, a glossary of terms and all that kind of stuff. I think that makes it better. I actually am enjoying the state of the game at the moment. Yeah. On the whole, that could work, but I do feel sorry for this guy that's come in. I think he's gonna have a real fucking challenge to be like, because the other chance is that because he's potentially being forced to keep the kind of framework of 10th. He then looks like a bit of a bell end because he's stuck to 10th. And I'd want to reset it personally.
I just feel like they just need to take all of these FAQs, all of these updates, and then just reprint the rules.
Yeah.
Reprint the reprint the codexes and just be like, here, you don't need these updates, you don't need these things, here's your updated stuff in a book. Done.
Yeah.
They released years ago small little, A5 versions of the rulebook? Like, just do a bunch of those.
Rulebook codexes should go to almost like a ring binder format for me. But the thing is, again, if they were like, so I revert back to the thing we've talked about before, right? AdMech players. AdMech players got fucking rogered with that fucking monster tentacle dildo hard, didn't they? Because here's your codex. It's complete dog shit.
Yeah.
Like it's basically unplayable. And then here's an update which invalidates essentially your whole codex. So you now, if you've got the book, you now just flat can't use it because because it was just shit. We did a terrible job, but it's okay because we give you an update. I would want them to reprint my fucking book and send it to me free of charge, which they won't do because they're money hungry bastards.
Look at Gene Stealer Cults. Their book came out pretty weak, and then like they were like everything's just way cheaper now. Because I thought, because there was a time when I thought Gene Stealer Cult, before their book came out, when they were in Index, I was like, they had a great Combat Patrol box set. And I was like, this is the best pounds to points efficient army in the game. And now it's like, oh great, they're the worst, next to AdMech.
Thank you, Farmer George, for 10 gifted memberships.
I hope that you don't get any leaks in your hay storage and straw storage.
Leaks like water or leaks like the vegetable?
Water leaks. I imagine the vegetable the cows would really enjoy.
Thanks, Farmer George. Yeah. And Emmet, I can't say it, 88 just gifted one as well.
Thanks.
He's
nothing worse than having mouldy.
He's the only person who's gifted since I said that you could have a new Imperial Knight.
Yeah.
So I feel like nobody else wants you to have the Castigator.
We only need 71.
71 members in 24 minutes.
That's right. Yeah.
If you get 71 members in 24 minutes, you'll get yourself a new Imperial Knight Castigator. Just throwing that out there. Limey Panda, thank you for the 5. If only they had some way to make rules that are universal and had universal ideas that you can define. Yep. Sometimes, 7th edition was a case of this for me. Sometimes it's a case of be careful what you wish for, because the grass isn't always greener. And 7th edition did have a lot of universal special rules. The universal special rules in 7th edition for me is not what caused the jank.
Oh, God, no.
Right? Free stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy detachments, D weapons, Death Star's invisibility as a psychic power was what caused the jank. Keywords didn't cause the jank, right? And then people whinged about how many keywords. And we had pages and pages of keywords in 7th edition.
What caused all the problems was the stupid detachments.
And yes, agree. The Decurion stuff for Necrons, the Demi Company for Space Marines, etc.
Yeah.
Now, and Allies was weird as well. I remember going to a tournament and taking
Allies Matrix was
I took a Seer Council from Eldar. I took 2 Wraith Knights and an Imperial Knight in an army.
Yeah, and then you can summon demons.
Yeah, it was great. It was fucking bonkers, absolutely bonkers. Came 5th at a tournament with that.
What was mad is Grey Knight.
4th.
What was stupid at the end of 7th edition, Grey Knight librarians could summon demons.
Great it. Yeah. So thank you for that, Libby Panda. Used to be Crumpets Panda, changed his name. Kazari, thank you for the 5. Modular Sigma rules would also fix this by turning make a normal move into make an action normal move. You'll say So this is where he said YouTube strikes again. We talk about it before the super chat comes through, which we did. We talked about it like Sigma. I don't want 40k rules to be Sigma rules, but I wouldn't mind 40k rules to be built the way Sigma rules are built. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you take the modularity, if you take the way the keyword system works, if you take the fact that everything's an ability, once you get your head around that to start with, which I don't think is overly complicated, it's built in such a way that, like I've said, the amount of times we've had a query or a question, we don't need an FAQ. No. Don't need an FAQ. You read through it, you go through a logical process, you go, oh, that makes sense.
Well, all they need to do is bring in, like, the rules as they are currently are fine. But they need keywords because they're not for the things, but they need a keyword system to get like Surge, because there's so many things like Surge that do the same but different.
Yeah.
And they're not all
created equally.
They're not all worded the same despite doing the same thing. So if they had, this unit has Surge, and then there's a keyword system, Surge means this. You move D6 inches towards the nearest enemy unit as close as possible. You cannot start an engagement range, but you can end an engagement range. Done. And then you go, this unit has Rending. On the roll of a 6, it gets additional AP 2.
I think, But I think that what that means is, in the current framework we have, I don't think 10th is ever going to lose its current stigma.
No, so what will happen is that if they do bring a keyword system like, as I described, that won't happen till.
It's an addition, right? Yeah, so it's an addition rewrite, right?
Yeah.
So because it's an addition rewrite, I don't think the way that so we're now close to a year and a half into 10th edition, right? Which means we've got about a year and a half left, okay? And as being close to a year and a half into 10th edition, I think what we have seen with updates, etc., is what is now the normal for 10th.
Yeah.
I can't see a major sweeping change to the way things are presented until they do a new edition. And then what they might do is they might go, the new rules guy might be going, I don't want to present rules like this, I don't want to release rules like this, I don't want to do this. But they're going to say, just let 10th run, and it's just about hanging on. There's been a resurgence recently in people playing 40k. There's been a resurgence in liking 40k. Our data is showing us there's been a resurgence in people watching 40k.
I think it's Space Marine 2.
I think it's helped.
I think it's done.
I don't think it's just Space Marine 2, but I think it's helped.
But I think people, if you look at 40k before AOS launched, it was not in a great state.
So 40k viewership was kind of average low before AOS launched. AOS launched, 40k viewership dipped. And I think what happened was a lot of people went, oh, new rule set, new game, fancy models. And a lot of people's heads got turned by Age of Sigmar. And our Age of Sigmar viewership, we don't have pre-4th edition content really to compare it to. So I can't comment as to whether that has gone up or down. Over the course of the last 3 months, talking about this in Thanes last night, over the course of the last 3 months, Age of Sigmar viewership for us has remained very consistent.
Yeah.
And we're averaging somewhere between 200 to 300 people.
Yeah.
Normally around the 250 mark for AOS, and it's sitting quite flat.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it and it's fun. That's cool. That's good, right? 40k content dropped below Age of Sigmar, and for 2.5 months stayed lower than Age of Sigmar, and now it's come back up again.
But Space Marine released, and it's gone.
It did it before Space Marine released. Came up before Space Marine released, about 3 weeks before, and it stayed high. I think Space Marine 2 has helped. I categorically think it's helped, without doubt. But I think a lot of people went, oh, AOS, and I think they've probably enjoyed AOS, but I think they've also gone, I miss 40k though, because I did that.
Maybe people just needed that break. They needed a 2-month break away from 40k
to
look at AOS, experience it, look at the models, and they go, oh, like I really like it. Maybe I can't afford it. I'll go back to 40k and see how it's sitting. But having a break
I also think, and Sol's just kind of touched on this as well. I also think that the first year of 40k, definitely the first 6 months, but probably the first year was a fucking rocky ride.
Yeah.
Which is why I think the viewership dropped off. I actually now think, I don't like the fact that the rules are in a million places. I don't like the fact that there's pages and pages and pages of clarifications, and it's hard for a new person to find what it is they need to be able to play the game. But I think the game as it's, if you take away where the rules are all over the place and just look at the game as it plays out on the tabletop now, it's actually in an all right place. I'm enjoying how it plays out on the tabletop at the moment. I'd go as far as to say I'm really enjoying it. I've got over my hatred of all the rerolls. Because I have to, because it exists in 40k.
Yeah.
And being strung up on the promotional material that came out before 10th that said, less rerolls, less lethality, simplified, not simple. All the bullshit statements that they put on Warcom that were complete garbage when we look at where the game is now, complete lies, essentially. I'm now like, there's no point being strung up on that stuff.
It was basically an electoral candidate speech.
Yeah, 100% that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was a fucking Labour Party campaign.
We're going to build new schools and fix the NHS and less rerolls. Abaddon will be great again.
We're not going to put taxes up apart from we are going to put taxes up, and we won't take money off pensioners apart from we will take money off pensioners. This is what it was.
Yeah.
It was an election campaign.
Basically, they're trying to enforce cold storage hibernation on the elderly.
It's exactly what it was. It was an election. Joe, you've nailed it. It's a 100% election campaign. Here's a load of bollocks to get you to buy the game. It's not. We're not going to do any of it at all. We'll just take free Taylor Swift tickets.
Also, standardised demon princes. We had a discussion earlier. Fucking hell.
Well, this is no different to Surge. So in essence, it's a wider issue, but it's no different to the Surge rule, right? The Surge rule, 3 different Surge rules, or 4 different Surge rules in 4 different places. Demon Princes, Wild Eaters, Thousand Suns, Nurgle, Chaos Space Marines, Chaos Demons. Demon Princes exist currently in 5 books. When what they called Emperor's Children come out, they'll exist in 6 places. There's currently 12. There's currently 10 data sheets for Demon Princes, and there will soon be 12. And they're 1 for each faction on foot and 1 for each faction on wings, all with different abilities.
Yeah. Or they've kind of got the same abilities, but different. So the World Eater's Demon Prince, at the start of the game, picks an enemy unit, and versus that enemy unit, you re-roll all hits and all wounds. But if you haven't killed the enemy unit at the end of the game, your Demon Prince died. It's like he's turned up and he's got a real grudge against someone. It's kind of cool, kind of thematic. And and because he's world eaters, he gets +1 attack on the charge, +1 strength. But because he's Mark of Khorne, he also gets an additional +2, so he goes like strength 11.
Not on world eaters.
Oh,
Yeah.
lol. Whereas the generic Chaos Space Marine Demon Prince rerolls all hits and wounds standard.
Yeah.
No need for anything else, and he gets the army roll.
Yeah.
And you pick Mark of Khorne, and he gets +2 strength.
Yeah. He goes to strength 10.
Yeah. Whereas they should just go, all Demon Princes have the exact same abilities, reroll hits, reroll wounds. They all have the same profile, as in like toughness 10, 10 wounds, 2 up save, 4 up in run. And then they go, if you're Mark of Khorne, you get this. If you Mark of Smash,
That's what
you
they
get
used to do,
this.
Joe.
Just leave it at that.
That's what they used to do.
Because
I know what a Demon Prince does.
Yeah.
Because it's a fucking Demon Prince.
And I was like, tonight I'm going to take a Demon Prince for my Chaos Space Marines. I'm going to take a Demon Prince for demons. And I'm like, I can't bring both ones with wings because if they get confused for whatever, like they both do the same but different. So it's like I now have to bring one on foot from one faction and one with wings from another faction, so I can't get them confused.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just...
Evan, thank you for the 5. You are the worst rules writers I've ever heard of. Yes, but you have heard of me. Facts. Thanks for the 5, dude. Mehmet, I said thank you for the 1 gifted. No more gifted for you, Joe. They don't want you to have another Imperial Knight.
No.
They don't want you to have the Castigator.
Yeah. But I could use them in Horus Heresy as well, couldn't I?
You could, yeah, but not at the moment.
Fun,
you can't, no.
it?
Mike Lorana, thank you for the 5. Digital Codexes fixes all of these issues. Changes are instant and easy. They fear people getting Codexes free more than a good product. I disagree with you and agree with you at the same time. Mm-hmm. Digital Codexes fixes the problem if they are on it with everything that they release in Digital Codexes. But as we've seen with things like the CP rule changes, for example, what costs more, what costs less, that's only that statement only works if they actually update it. So that rule change came out weeks ago, months ago, and we've only just seen an app update yesterday for that rule change. So a digital codex doesn't fix a problem if you don't update your data in the digital publication or in the app. So, but that being said, if you did release the updates on time every time and you made sure that every change that was being released in an FAQ or in a document actually went into that digital publication or into that application, then I agree with you, it does work.
Do you know how you fix this problem? A keyword system.
And employ competent people.
And then basically, if you assign on digitally, every unit has... So they used to have this in the old map, on the old app, right? You'd have your unit and then it would have its keywords, much like Horus Heresy. And then on the app you go, oh, what's that keyword? I press the button or I hold my finger over the keyword and then it pops up and tells me what that rule is. Magic, right? Technology.
In 7th, I'm sure it was 7th, in 7th they released codexes on iBooks, Apple Books, right? Now it's an Apple book product, right? It's overcosted, without doubt. They were essentially the same cost as the physical book, but digital.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Do you know why? One, on the Apple Book system, it was a beautiful thing to use. It wasn't like PDF where it just worked, right? And then every keyword or rule, you pressed a button and it popped up and told you. It was so nice to use.
But guess what?
Fully interactive.
But that exists on the app now.
Yeah.
But not for everything.
Fully interactive, beautiful system to use. Really, really liked it. And do you know what? And I've said this before in the past, that if they were to go digital, I bet money. I don't need to bet money. I know. I bought codexes on that book system that I wouldn't have bought in person normally. And sometimes spontaneously, I want to know what that thing can do by the codex.
Yeah. And then once you've got those with the system, if you need to make a change, you only have to change one thing on the back of the app, and guess what? That just updates everything. You go, we've changed the surge rule, so we don't have to change a million different profiles. We just change the surge rule in one section of the website. So when people hover their finger over the bolded surge keyword, it just tells them what it does.
Yeah. And then Big Dick Luton with a 10.
Oh!
What a legend. This all sounds good, Liam.
How do you know if he's got a big dick? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
This all sounds good, Liam, but me, okay, I'm not an idiot. I read a ton of material every day. I play 40k once a month. I cannot deal with the wall of text they keep releasing with these updates. Yeah. The way in which they're releasing updates is also an off-put for a lot of people. And this is where my stream title, like I said, came from yesterday. And I was like, I'm not reading all this. Because I was unaware yesterday that one of the documents in the sea of documents was a document that gave me all of the index changes in one document. I didn't know that existed.
I have a major issue.
And like, even the way in which that's communicated. Here's the other thing. I said this last night on the stream, right? If you're going to do that, if you're going to update all of the FAQs, all of the indexes, etc., 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 I don't want to go to a walk-on page.
When you go to the new walk-on page, you guys can't really see it. You might be able to. That's what you get. It's just a line of text when you go into the website.
Yep.
So FAQ and errata Necrons. The icon for that is the exact same as the mutual field, manual, space rules, prior.
So this is what I'm talking about.
Why has they got the picture of the faction?
This is what I'm talking about. The way in which they've done this is bad.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would want is the first thing I want them to do is I want them to order them in a logical order. I want the first document in the top left-hand corner that I see to be index updates. Right? One document that tells me all the index updates in one place. The second document I want to be mutual and field manual. The next document may be prior indexes update. And then I want to go into FAQs for codexes in alphabetical order for the FAQs. And then I want to go into index updates in alphabetical order. And like Joe says, I want the faction images on the icon.
So you can just see it at a quick glance. Games Workshop doesn't like the alphabet. It bugs me to no end. Like the Stormcast book is an alphabetical order, and it's in chamber. So each chamber, all the characters and all the units are together. But the problem is it's not easy to. It's like unless you know the model range, you don't know what chamber you're looking at. So I'm like, this means literally nothing to me. So I kind of feel like you get them in quite large textbooks where they have like a little dent in the pages. So you can literally go. There's the rules dent. There's the ruination chamber. There's the warrior chamber. There's the wizard chamber.
But when it comes to this document update yesterday, I don't know how someone in a managerial position doesn't look at the way that's presented on the website and go, "What the fuck is that?"
Peter's got a really good point, and we have this when we get things early as well. Is that they don't name their files either. Mm-hmm. So when I download all the updates I need to my phone, so like say for like yesterday, I download all these because these are the factions I need, and then I go to my documents page, and I'm like, I haven't got a fucking clue what these are.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. How does a manager not look at that page of documents and the sporadic nature of it and say, are we really putting that out to the public? Are we not going to come under fire for putting that out in that way to the public? Like, it doesn't take a lot. I get that. I have, in all of my jobs, been a very fussy manager. I am very fussy about how people do things and people doing things correctly and filling things out correctly and things being done a specific way. Sometimes I'm an arsehole with it. I'm aware of that, granted. But I don't feel like a manager looking at that page and going, are we really putting that out to the public?
Like, when you look at like QR code, like PR, like codes for stock on things, what is it called? KPIs.
Key performance indicators.
What the SKU codes? That's the
SKU,
one.
yeah, stock keeping unit.
The stock keeping unit codes normally are an alphabetized system. So for games, I don't understand because obviously they have a lot of folders, and I get that. So I don't understand why it's not a standard. Like so WH4K Warhammer 40K CSM Chaos Space Marine.
But this is why
upd 143 or whatever, and then they go like WH4K AM Astra Militarum UD blah blah blah.
Nick says they don't seem to care. I'm a QA quality auditor, and there's no way I'd let that crap go live on one of our websites. Exactly. Exactly. This is my point. This is what I'm saying. How a manager looks at it and goes, yeah, launch it, is baffling to me. It's baffling to me that some of what they put out. It's like, do you have zero concern about what people are going to say, or any pride in your work at all, for that matter? Joe, we're only on 29 members.
I know.
What are you going to offer to do for them?
Build a night when they give it to me.
Fair, okay.
I'm not going to dance. I'm tired.
No,
my legs are up.
I wouldn't ask you to dance either. That's not fair.
Yeah.
You're a tired panda.
I will try and beat Paddy tonight.
Yeah?
It's the best I can achieve.
Okay.
Nothing but walls and walls and walls of terrain in front of his tower army.
It's an interesting.
The entire table is line of sight blocking terrain, and every turn it's fog of war.
It's an interesting tower army.
Oh, it's a cool tower army.
I think it's okay. Right, I can put this down now. We've got more members to talk about and then more super chats to go through. We actually got through it all early. Look at that.
Yeah. How long have we got?
5 minutes?
5 minutes.
5 minutes to do 71 members.
Oh.
Go.
Lego. Star Wars UCS Jabba's sail barge. That's quite big, isn't it?
It's fancy, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Paddy's going to be here soon as well.
It's going to be here soon. Because of you, this entire iPad is now full of Warhammer and Lego.
What else is there, Jay?
Oh, Westy's playing Delta Force.
I've sold more things on eBay too. I've sold lots of Warhammer on eBay.
Already? You only put that up today?
Yeah, I've sold lots of things on eBay. Well, we're not making member targets all week. I think we made two targets all week is what we've made.
Everyone's playing Delta Force.
Is it a case of not caring or just laziness? Charlie, is it not sort of
Both?
a bit 6 and 2 3s there? They're not sort of similar?
I think the problem the staff has, right, is that and I feel sorry for Games Workshop staff, is that I don't feel sorry for the higher-ups because they seem to be terrible people. But the staff kind of feel like whatever gets put out, people aren't going to be happy with it.
Which is true.
Because of the state of the game as it currently is, which was caused by a different team of people, because that team of people doesn't really exist so much anymore. So the people that created this problem have been redistributed, is the most political term, I think.
Yes.
Right?
As far as we're aware, yes.
Yes. There was redistribution of staff.
So I've said a few times I feel sorry for the people that are now currently working with the updates of 40k, because as far as I'm aware, they aren't the same people that brought this game to the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the people that are there now aren't the people that created this problem.
Yeah.
And the people that are there now are trying to fix the problem as best they can within a very large series of restrictions, a giant cobweb of restrictions and red tape. And then they put this stuff out and people are going to be pissy with them anyway. And they have to put it out in a specific time frame. It's probably not getting tested properly because they're expected to do so much by people above them. And then if they want to make changes, and we experienced this in the playtesting situation, if they want to make changes that make sense, because the thing that currently there is broken, they go, we want to change this. And then someone above them goes, no, because the decision that we've made coming in the future, we've already printed it. It's already done. There's no stopping it. And they're like, cool, this is happening then.
Yeah.
And they're like, yep. And it just makes their job harder. Obviously, the bonus is that they got this new guy in who's very similar to the guy who runs the AOS rules team. And the guy who made AOS is possibly the most competent rules person I've ever met.
He's fantastic, though.
And he stood and he talked to us about it, and he answered our questions, and he was like, we've done this because of this. This was happening and we want to fix that, or like we're going to make changes in the future, but we're going to restrict it because we don't want it to go in this direction. And we're like, good, I understand. Yeah. You've said this to me.
Matt, who's the chief rules writer for AOS, is a fucking genius, by the way.
And I think the whole AOS team is.
They're all good. Yeah. We have to credit him as the guy steering the ship.
But there's weirdly never met any of the 40k rules writing team. I feel like they just hide. I feel like there's a room in Games Workshop which has a tunnel that you have to get to it because people don't want to see them walk into it.
Lone Monkey Productions, thank you for 5 gifted memberships.
Thank you. I hope that if you have children or you have children in the future, you don't make a horrible mistake like my partner's friend did. Right, I'll explain this because I'll involve this into a hilarious story.
So this isn't going to get legal in a minute?
No.
Okay, good.
No. So my partner, Tamsin, she went away this weekend with her friend, and her friend has children, and they have a rabbit. And the mum was like, if you don't clean out the rabbit, because it's your pet, your responsibility.
Actual animal, by the way.
Actual animal. If you don't clean it out this weekend, it's just like if you don't wash up the plates. If you don't change its hay and clean up after it, it'll die. And that was on the Friday. And then she messaged on the Saturday. And she was like, have you done it yet? And the kid was like, no, I'll do it today. Like, good, because if you don't do it, it'll get poorly and it might die. Come home on a Sunday, dead. And they hadn't changed the hay
I mean, Mummy got proved right there.
But she was like, "Oh my god!" like she was like, "I was just trying to scare her." It didn't really scare. So I hope that never happens to you.
I hope that does happen. That kid's gonna fucking learn.
I was like, I said I feel really bad for the rabbit because I don't like animals dying. I don't like animals being hurt. But I was like, that kid's like I was like, if they get another pet, that house is gonna be spotless.
Next time, Mum says, if you don't clean your room, your dog will die. They'll be like, I'm fucking cleaning my room.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fucking great.
Yeah.
Katz, thank you for the 5. I don't want a new detachment for World Eaters just for Khan to not be earning his role as the cheapest HQ. Yeah, he's cheaper than Master of Executions now.
I've been.
You can get that kind of wish, by the way, for 5 gifted memberships and more, chat. Come on.
Yeah. I keep trying to write World Eaters lists, and I don't want to put. I want to put Angron. I don't want to put Angron in. Because I want to have like a kind of Horus Heresy style army.
Angron is still kind of an auto take, I think.
But he's way too good to not have in the army list. And then I get to Khan. I'm like, Khan is one of the most iconic Chaos Space Marine characters ever, next to Abaddon. I'd say it's Abaddon, Khan, Araman.
Typhus,
meh, take it or leave it.
Okay.
But I feel like those three are like hand in hand. Like
I would put Typhus in the same category, and Lucius.
I think
because they've been around forever as well.
They're like the top what? They're like the top dog. So I'm like, I can't put it. I look at his rules, and I'm like, he's just not good.
No, I don't think he's that bad.
What he gives you compared, what is it? What's bad? He's now cheaper than a Master of Executions, and a Master of Executions pushes his shit in every single time.
Khan suffers a little bit from the Abaddon problem as well. He just dies too easily.
Yeah.
He dies too easily, specifically in melee as well.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I can't justify bringing him. And also I do find a lot of stuff in, like, I don't want to bring out 8-bound.
Meat Squadron, thank you for the 1 gifted. He says, sorry I can't gift more, I'm poor. You've just gifted 1, mate, you're a legend, thank you.
I absolutely cannot stand the 8-bound models.
I don't mind them.
I hate them with a passion. Their rules are incredible, but their rules are great. I just don't like the models.
I like them.
So, and I'm like, oh, what does that leave me with? And I'm like, you either go all Khorne Berserkers and a couple of Terminators and a Dreadnought and Dreadnoughts and stuff. I do like the other stuff, but I'm like, it doesn't really fit with the kind of Horus Heresy kind of vibe.
I kind of wanted, do you know what I actually really wanted to do? Was that it's probably possible to do this, but I don't know for sure. Is I wanted to kit bash 8-bound with Terminators, so Terminator torsos, 8-bound arms. I don't know if it would look any good. So you could have the dual chainsaw, the dual chain fists and stuff like that on Terminators.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
In the wider realm of the community, can you run World Eaters as Blood Angels? World Eater models, Blood Angels rules.
What are you going to use 8-bound as?
You don't. You just use Berserkers as Assault Intercessors. Use Terminators as Terminators. Use because it's just better. You use Khan as a Space Marine captain because they're just better.
I wouldn't go that far. I think a captain is better than Khan.
Yeah. Master of Executions is just a Judica.
Master of Executions is better than a Judica.
But you know what you do get access to then? Havoc Squads, Devastators, with heavy bolters.
Drop pods.
You get access.
Redeemers.
Yeah, Redeemers. Jump Troops.
Doug, thank you for the 1 gifted.
You still get access to Predators. You still get access to the Demolisher dude, the Vindicators. You still get access to Land Raiders, but you get access to 2 other Land Raiders.
8-bound as aggressors.
Yeah. Yeah, 8-bound, yeah.
Meat Squadron says, Joe, when you eat a sausage roll, think of me.
I often do. I've found, so as a way of influencing my child to get shit ready in the morning, I've bought in a reward scheme of going to Greg's and getting pain au chocolat for breakfast.
How did you say that?
Pain au chocolat because I'm not giving you money because you just basic job. So I was like, we'll go have a fancy breakfast. So we'll go to Greg's to get pain au chocolat. My car is now has about 400% more crumbs in it than it did when I started this thing.
Dan says, what would Angry Ron be? He's already said he doesn't want to take Angry Ron. He doesn't like Angry Ron.
I mean, there's no reason why you can't bring Angry Ron. It depends on what. If you're going Blood Angels, you can't.
Yeah.
There's no. I wouldn't bring it. I don't want to bring him because he's not part of the vibe. And personally, I don't like Angron as a character in 40k. I just don't like him. The model is beautiful.
No, I'm glad you haven't gifted him 100 memberships because he doesn't deserve that fucking knight.
Yeah, Red Butchers, Terminators with Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields, or Twin Lightning Claws. You could just use the Forge World models then. Because they've got 2 axes, Twin Lightning
Forge
Claws.
World models are awful, Joe.
Do you know what they're better than? Not having models at all.
Well, fair, but they're still bad. They're still expensive for bad models.
Yeah, but I think you can get access to more stuff if you run them as just loyalist Space Marines.
Yeah.
With better rules.
Okay, Angry Ron is the vibe. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
I love you, Dan.
Angry Ron has got a great, but I just don't like his personality. I understand that he's supposed to be this like proper like anti-hero and he was spoiled as a child, but he complains more than Perturabo.
I've heard he thinks
I should have died with my friends.
Me Squadron, thank you for one more gifted.
That's all he does.
I feel like you're just a douchebag.
The Emperor ruined my life. I should be dead. And part of me is like, you should have been. If Angron died, World Eaters would have been so much better as an army.
Why?
Because they wouldn't have all died and killed themselves from having the nails in. All of their librarians died because the nails killed them.
I like that narrative.
It's okay.
The only reason why I would be okay with Angron not being alive as a World Eaters player is I feel like the army at that point wouldn't then. At the moment, it centres around Angron. So I feel like even with his 20 points hike that he had yesterday, I feel like Angron is still, for the majority of World Eaters players, an auto take.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you get that once per if once per the game you bring him back. I feel like he's an auto take.
Oh yeah, I've been trying to write the army list, and I'm like, how do I have fun with this army without 8 bound? And I was looking at demons and stuff. I feel like with Space Marines, I think they need to change the restriction from 500 to 1,000. Half your army could be demons, but they don't get their rule. I feel like that would be fine because I was like, I have to take Angron. The rest of the characters are now a bit poo. I do like the demon princes, but the demon princes are just better.
It's facts.
Yeah. What I find weird, right, is the demon prince on foot for demons gets the same as the Space Marine rule. Once per game, it just gets a flat extra 3 attacks, which sounds incredibly corn.
Yeah.
Right? I kind of like why can't
once per game it just powers up?
Yeah, he just goes, "Whoa, super angry."
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah. Well, the more that you want to add and paint for the World Eaters, the happier I'm going to be.
Yeah.
I'd
You're
like more
never
options. I'd like more. I'm happy a lot. I'm happy at the moment. I'm not happy about being on 37 members, but I'm happy that I get to have a day off tomorrow.
I feel like there's like an open window in here sometimes, like the amount of times that you walk around sighing. I'm like, oh, it's breeze again.
It's hard running a business and trying to get 2 more off the ground at the same time.
Mosmerium is correct. You should be sorry that your Primarch is as good as Sanguinius.
Meat Squadron, thank you for another gifted, but stop. You said you couldn't afford it. We're on 38 members now because of Meat Squadron.
Who's your... All right, if you take Sanguinius and Angry Ron out of the equation, who is your favourite Primarch? We've got time to kill.
Well, Paddy's... Yeah, I'm conscious that Paddy's coming, so we'll have to go and let him in as soon as he turns up. But who's my favourite Primarch if you remove Sanguinius and Angron?
Because I feel like Sanguinius is everyone's because he's just the perfect boy. B-O-I.
He's not my favourite Primarch, Sanguinius. No.
Who is he?
Who's my favourite?
Yeah.
I actually don't know. It's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Lion.
Yeah? He was proper douche during the heresy as well.
He was a bit of a douche. I think maybe that's why I like him.
Now he really likes trees.
Dawn's a bit of a baller as well.
I think Dawn gets better.
Yes. Dawn's a bit of a fucking baller.
I'm Pete Turbo all the way.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Turbo is just my favourite. I know I say that Ron complains a lot. Peter Turbo's got a serious fucking, like, everyone hates me depression state. Like, everyone hates me. I need to prove myself. I'm going to murder everyone. But I just love him. He's got the mood swings of a 12-year-old girl. It's just all over the place.
I actually, as much as I've ripped Brom for it for years as well, I actually quite like Gullyman. There's some narrative out there with Gullyman in it where he's a bit rough, raw, and terrifying.
Yeah. There's a great heresy book where they need to get a council together of all the traitor Primarchs, and Angry Ron is just off being Angry Ron, and they're like, oh, someone's got to go get him. So they send Perturabo to go and smash his shit in, and drag it back. It's a great book, mainly because Angron gets his ass handed to him.
Erebus, the best Primarch.
No.
Erebus.
There's a great bit where obviously Erebus upsets the Raven Guard.
Erebus isn't even a Primarch.
No, it was old Jobbinobs, whatever his name is. Lorgar upsets the Raven Guard. So Mayboy just turns into a just terrifying demon person that just scares him all the time in his dreams. He's like, poetry, depression.
Yeah.
That's one of the great things I love about the Raven Guard gene seed, is that they all get uber depressed and violently suicidal, but not like sad on your own kind. Like they're like, I want to go and die, but I'm going to do it by killing as many people as possible.
It's a shame you can't run
Like the Black
anymore.
Rage.
It's a shame you can't run your Raven Guard anymore, Joe, isn't it?
My Raven Guard army got 200 points cheaper, and now I don't have enough models painted to run the fucking thing.
So when Joe's on a losing streak, there's a reason why the army that he had for Raven Guard got 200 points cheaper, chat. It's because he takes all this shit stuff all the time.
So annoying.
Most of my lists went up in points.
All my armies got cheaper. And that's why
my
I lose.
Eldar Wraith army got cheaper,
Yeah.
but everything else went up in points.
My Chaos Space Marine army went down 5 points.
Yeah.
Because a lot of stuff that I took in my list
Are
went down.
you feeling that one of the reasons why you might be losing frequently is because you go, this unit's great, actually it's a bit shit?
Yeah, but because I want cool shit. I want cool shit.
No, I get it. Cool. Okay. Well, anyway, people, we are now at 3:15, and Paddy's going to be here soon. I think Tom's coming as well. So I'm going to disappear because, he's chilling outside for when you're done, see? So we're going to disappear now because you clearly don't like the content very much, hence 38 members.
I'm surprised actually, because this is a complaining one.
Yeah, but they do. So we've had over 320 people watching consistently. It's always the same, Jay, right? Always the same. Good for numbers, not good for members.
Freeloaders, a lot of them.
Facts.
Yeah.
Matt, thank you for one gifted, up to 39, you beautiful human beings. Thank you so much for hanging out with us anyway. We do have another stream today, as always, on a Thursday. We go live this evening at 7:30 for a live game of Warhammer 40k. It's Tau versus Chaos Space Marines. Can Joe break his 40k losing streak? MTF8418, thank you for the one gifted, up to 40.
He works for Games Workshop.
So thank you so much for hanging out. Hopefully you'll come and hang out with us tonight for that Chaos Space Marines versus Tau game. It's me, it's Joe, it's Paddy. It's the literal dream team. So come and hang out with us on that one this evening. Is this going to work? Is it going to work? Yeah, it's going to work. For that one. If you don't, there is no stream tomorrow and there is no stream on Monday. I'm taking a long weekend off. With the exception of Christmas breaks, it's the first holiday I've taken in 3 years.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't realise. I went back through my calendar. I was like, I haven't actually taken time off in 3 years. So I'm having a long weekend. Not hitting membership targets isn't helping it, but I'll be trying to chill out for 4 days, Joe.
Lazy.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, you beautiful people. Hopefully we'll see you tonight. If not, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, have a wonderful time.